Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Acts chapter 28, verses 1 through 6, and we are back on track in our regular reading plan. So, the Apostle Paul and all of his friends, all of those that are in the boat with him, they have now wrecked. They are on the island of Malta, and there is unusual kindness that is shown to them. We need to remember that when folks show us unusual kindness, particularly strangers, that the Lord may very well be up to something. That is what's going to happen with the Apostle Paul here. He's already been shown unusual kindness by the centurion on the boat. Now he's going to be shown unusual kindness by by the natives that live on the island. And indeed, God is going to use this as an opportunity for the Apostle Paul to share the gospel. So let's get into our reading. After we were brought safely through, yes, they were brought through the storm. Yes, the ship wrecked. Yes, they lost all their cargo, but they did not lose their lives. They're all hanging on to a plank. Now they've made it safely through and they've made it on land. We learned that the island was called Malta. The native people showed us unusual kindness. So here is that attitude for us to adopt, is that when we are shown unusual kindness, there's unusual acceptance. The Lord may be up to something. This is what missionaries will sometimes call a person of peace, somebody that seems to be a bridge to an unreached people group or an unreached village or town or area. And so we need to be keeping our eyes open for the people that the Lord is putting us in contact with and seeing what kind of opportunity we might have to share the gospel. So the native people showed us unusual kindness. How did they do that? For they kindled a fire and welcomed us all because it had begun to rain and was cold. I'm sure after going through that terrible storm and that terrible wreck, that the rain and the cold was just an added pain, an added burden to them. Verse 3, when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and put them on the fire, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened on his hand. So this now snake comes, this viper, doesn't just bite the Apostle Paul, but bites on him and is hanging on his hand as he is gathering a bundle of sticks. Verse 4, when the native people saw the creature hanging from his hand. So it's not just again that he bit and ran away, but that there's this viper just hanging off the Apostle Paul's hand, and he's got him here dangling underneath. And so they see this and they said to one another, no doubt this man is a murderer. He must be somebody very bad for this snake to have bitten him. Though he has escaped from the sea, justice has not allowed him to live. And this could be taken just as far as justice, the right thing being done, or it could be taken as the God of justice. And the ESV takes it that way by capitalizing the J in the word justice. So these guys were not obviously Jews. They were not worshipers of the one true God. And so they had other gods in which they followed. So they're thinking, okay, the God of justice, the God justice is now bringing to pass this judgment on this man. Verse 5, he, however, shook off the creature into the fire and suffered no harm. So you just see almost a comical scene here, something that could be very detrimental, scary, and harmful for a snake to be hanging off your hand. But the Apostle Paul just kind of rattles it off and shakes it off into the fire. The viper dies, and he doesn't die, but the natives, they are watching the Apostle Paul, expecting him to swell up and die because this is a deadly, deadly snake. Verse 6, they were waiting for him to swell up or suddenly fall down dead. But time went on, Time went on. The Apostle Paul never died. In fact, he never changed what he was doing. When they had waited a long time and saw no misfortune come to him, they changed their mind now, and they said that he was a god. Of course, that would be a sin for us to avoid, is not giving credit to the Lord for thinking that things that go well, that things that go good is because of ourselves, is because of an innate power within us. No, everything good that happens is ultimately due to God, the one and true God. And here they are believing and thinking that the Apostle Paul was a God. Of course, this is not the first time this is going to happen to the Apostle Paul. We're not told that he preaches the gospel. Actually, this entire time on Malta, we're not told that he preaches the gospel. I would assume he did. That's what the Apostle Paul did. He's on his way to Rome to testify about Jesus Christ. Yet we don't see this happening, but I think it's hinted at that the Apostle Paul did this. He's going to then heal the chief in our next reading. Again, this is one of those things that bother me. Why does Luke go into all the detail about the rudder, about the sail, and many of the things that we read in the previous chapter? And yet, when he's in Malta, he doesn't talk about Paul establishing a church, preaching the gospel, whether or not people come to know Jesus or not. Perhaps Apostle Paul didn't preach, but that would seem to be quite not in character with who the Apostle Paul was. But Luke, we can tell, is just extremely focused on the idea that the Apostle Paul is on his way to Jerusalem, or he's on his way to Rome to testify there as well. So always be looking out for unusual kindness for those people that you can have a relationship with, that you can share Jesus Christ with. Pray that has been a blessing to you all, and I'll see you in the next video.